Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Community Health. We have 8 locations to serve you better. Our staff is dedicated to help you and your family. Here's your host, Vicki Soulé.
And welcome to Community Conversations. It's so nice to have you present in our listening audience today, because one of the things that I want to have you be more informed about is something that we tie into our physical activity routine here in this area. This morning, there was a news flash that Boston's getting 10 inches of snow. And of course, those of us in Florida go, glad it's not us. So I've invited Shotsi Lajoie to come and talk with us. Shotsi is the board chair of the Vero Beach Rowing Club. And I heard from a little birdie that she actually was a rower in college herself. So her history with rowing goes way back. And that is one of those sports, like golf, that we can do year round. So it really fits in nicely to our community and the types of things that we like to do to keep ourselves healthy and active. So welcome, Shotsi.
Oh, thank you. Happy to be here.
Now, the rowing club goes way back in terms of history in this county, I understand.
Yes, it's funny. I had a child at Sebastian River when Sebastian started the sport of rowing. I was involved in it for about, I don't know, maybe a month, because my son was a football player. And they were running track because there were no boats yet. And then he didn't want to row because he needed to play football, so I kind of extracted. But that's when it started. And then there was a 501 formed in 2008. So it's 2005 when it started rowing in Indian River County.
Wow.
And then 2008 was the first nonprofit to attract
some funding resources.
Adults, different cohorts, not just the high school.
Okay, but you still have a high school cohort, as you call it. And how many youth participate in that? Just out of curiosity.
So so Vero Beach Rowing services Vero Beach, and Sebastian has its own program. So I'll talk about Vero Beach. Okay. Vero Beach Rowing services middle and high school, and we have about 85 kids on our team.
That's a lot of kids.
Yes, it is.
So for those of us that know absolutely nothing about rowing other than the pictures we see of a bunch of people in a boat, how many kids participate at one time per boat, for example? 10, 12? No,
so rowing has 2, 4, and 8-person vessels. 1, 2, 4, and 8-person vessels, and the most you could fit in a boat would be the 8-person, and they have actually 9 because they have that one person that goes stroke the cox, which is
that
the
one I know.
One. Yeah. And we have several boats, so we might put 50 kids out on the water in an afternoon.
Wow. And I understand you talked about Vero and Sebastian now being separate, but this club actually started with the C-54 canal, which is closer to Sebastian and Fellsmere than it is here.
Right. And so the mission statement of Vero it was Indian River Rowing Club, and the mission statement was to promote the sport of rowing in Indian River County. And we couldn't get anybody to come out to the C-54 canal. So we moved it into Vero.
And so now you are over on the beach side.
Right
there at the water with the
McWilliam Boat Basin.
Thank you.
There.
Okay.
Over by the ball field and the river house.
And I was really intrigued to find out that one of your first groups is the Friends After Diagnosis Cancer Survivors.
Right.
When I think about, and having been a cancer survivor myself, and the weakness that you feel following treatment, the two just didn't automatically jive in my head. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So breast cancer survivors have been kind of drawn by U.S. rowing. I guess it's just the upper body strength that rowing gives. And we just have outreaches all over the United States for breast cancer survivors.
Huh?
Special program, special outreach. So we reached out to friends, and with Lynn Redding at the time, you know, we formed a very gentle introduction to rowing and had a lot of volunteers in the boats with the ladies. And it was, you know, and it worked out, and some of them became members afterwards. But just to get someone out on the water and just to experience being out on the water is just very soothing. So they didn't have to row all the time. If they didn't feel like it, then the volunteers would row in the boat. Just to give them an opportunity to experience something else other than doctor's appointments.
Yes, that is so true. And, you know, the reality hit me in the face when the school district had an event and your group was out and they had the rowing machines.
Right.
And of course, all the young kids wanted to show how fast and good and strong they were. But there were quite a few gals from Friends After Diagnosis, and they talked to me a little bit about how that helps strengthen them and makes them feel like they are back to their old selves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think, you know, with anything, you need a community in order to recover. And Vero Beach Rowing offers just a great umbrella for lots of different activities to go on. And we haven't even hit half of them yet, you know.
What types of things, Shotsi?
Well, you know, there's a blind rowing outreach with you know, U.S. Rowing is a governing body, and lots of
Nationwide.
Nationwide, yes. Okay. And then, you know, there's an international rowing group as well. But and so you get the experience and from rowing clubs all over the country and to see what they're doing. And, you know, we have blind rowing, we have para rowing for amputees, we have rowing for special diagnoses in mental illness for depression and PTSD are two of them. That they've formulated programs just to identify a certain diagnosis. So people do recover physically from rowing. You know, they'll come and they'll work on the rowing machines, and then they'll kind of transmute into a boat. You know, since it's a sport, there's exercise involved. As long as you've done your PT, you know, rowing's all body, just like swimming. So it's a great way to keep yourself in shape. And because you're on the water, you have to keep yourself balanced, and the balancing muscles, those little muscles that support your big muscles go away as we get older. And especially if you're just doing machines, because you don't have to balance. So people that go from a machine out into the boat cannot believe their agility, their balance, their flexibility. So it's, you know, of course I love rowing or I wouldn't be doing it. But there's just a lot, and there's a lot of research, a lot of ways that we can help the community.
And so do you see your vested club members, do they come out several times a week then?
Yes.
When you talk about exercise,
when we talk about exercise, well, the kids are out on the water 5 to 6 days a week, and then sometimes, you know, we had a regatta last weekend, so they were traveling and doing all that fun stuff. And the adults, we have 4, 5. We probably have 6 practices a week that they could go to. Now that doesn't mean everyone does, but you know, there's availability. And so we have coaches out on the water in launches for those who aren't adept. You know, you have to kind of get approved to go out by yourself on the river. Yeah.
That is just amazing to me that resource is there. So if someone were interested in it, but, you know, someone like myself who's not terribly physically active because of the hours that they work,
right?
Do you have coaches or guides that help them sort of integrate in?
So the way that you would gain access to rowing with Vero Beach Rowing, it would be to, well, if you're a child, you'd be in the youth program, and that you would go through our youth program people, but it would usually be in the fall, and then in January when we start the seasons, and
Okay.
Of course, they can go in the middle of the season, but it's better to just start in the season because you're all starting as a group and you kind of grow as a group. With the adults, we have periodically, we have Learn to Row, and that's a group activity. Everyone's on the same page as far as they've never rowed before. And then we have individual lessons that you can take, and that would be one-on-one with one of our coaches. And that, if you're very concerned about maybe your physical wellness and you know, you're a little, I don't want to be in a group yet, I'm not really sure if I can do this,
Right.
I would say that you would go and get a lesson from a coach. And all of that would be on our website, which is verobeachrowing.org.
VeroBeachRowing.org. Pretty easy.
Pretty easy, I think
Okay.
so. Yep.
Well, we're going to take a short break for a word from our sponsors, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the other cohorts that you've seen over the years and some other things that I'm sure I will be asking.
Okay. Get the fundraiser.
Treasure Coast Community Health in-house pharmacies have the lowest prices in Indian River County, even lower than big box pharmacies. Taking your medication as prescribed leads to better health. Affordable medicine makes it easier. Treasure Coast Community Health patients can pick up medicine as they leave the office or use free delivery and mail order services. Pharmacists are always available to answer questions. Switch to TCCH pharmacies. Save money, stay healthy. 772-257-8224 and ask about our price match.
ITEX, or International Trade Exchange, is the largest barter company in the world with over 25,000 members offering goods and services. We're a marketing company that brings you new business in the way of trade, with over 200 local members enjoying the benefits of ITEX, like lawyers, doctors, plumbers, media, printing, and more.
Hi, this is Liz Bowler. Contact me and find out why barter through ITEX has been smarter for over 30 years. 772-532-1881. Visit itex.com.
Right now at Sunshine Furniture, it's holiday sale time. They are clearing out their warehouses to make room for new furniture styles, and this means you can save on selected styles from Lloyd Flanders, Beechcraft, Windward, Riverside, Universal, Caprice, Four Seasons, and more. Sofas, dining sets, patio groups, occasional chairs, cabinets, bedroom sets, and occasional tables. There are lots of pieces on sale from inside and out, just in time to make Santa say ho ho ho. Sunshine Furniture has the largest selection of coastal furniture anywhere, including a gallery of Tommy Bahama Home and a Universal Coastal Living collections. Visit Sunshine Furniture now for their holiday sale. And right now, all pictures, lamps, and accessories are half price. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in Vero Beach. Online at sunshinefurniturecasual.com. And don't forget to shop their outlet and sell store just across the street.
Sunshine Furniture.
And welcome back to Community Conversations. If you're just joining us, maybe you entered during our commercial break. My name is Vicki Soulé, and I'm the CEO of Treasure Coast Community Health. Now, Treasure Coast Community Health has been around for soon to be 30 years in Indian River County. But like many nonprofits, we started small and we have grown over the years until now. We currently have 8 different locations. Seven of them have multiple services available, medical, pharmacy, behavioral health, counseling, X-ray labs, those types of things. And one is dedicated to our dental needs in the community across from St. Helens. So we're happy that we're able to take care of so many folks, but we bear your patience as we know that we continue to recruit providers. We're not meeting your needs as quickly as you'd like, but know that we are working on that. But as a nonprofit within the community, you know, the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a lot of nonprofits to add to the wonderful community that we now have. And so we outreach to a lot of them, and we encourage our patients and staff to utilize their resources. And we find it a real honor to be able to have so many individuals come to this radio program so that we can share what they do with you in the hopes that, again, you'll never regret having moved to Indian River County or staying here if you were a natural born. So today we have Shotsi Lajoie here. Shotsi is the board chair for the Vero Beach Rowing Club.
Right.
And I was like Club Association.
Well, it's really Vero Beach Rowing Inc.
Inc. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm actually president of the organization too.
Okay.
Aren't I lucky?
Well,
I get both.
Well, and I've been told you're doing a fantastic job because you have history as a rower. So you not only endorse the sport, but you have real history in it,
right?
From the water up, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say, I was at a community meeting not long ago. Well, I've been a couple of them, but I always start off with, why do we row? And the answer is because it's just good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether you're a kid or an adult, you have to get along with other people.
Mm-hmm.
It builds your self-confidence. Your physical fitness goes up, and you learn to lead and you learn to follow. And, and that's, just the sport makes you do that.
To say nothing of the joy of being out on the water on a good day.
Right.
There are so many folks who do not have that opportunity.
Right.
And so I had asked you just before we started the show, can anyone join? And you said, 12 to 112.
Yeah.
So again, I want to remind those that might not have heard it, all of that information about how to join and the benefits and all of those things are on your website.
Right, which is verobeachrowing.org.
Okay. So one of the things that occurred to me, because I had my preteen a couple of years ago in youth sailing.
Right.
And of course, they want to ensure that he'd be safe out on the water. And so they gave a swim test.
Mm-hmm.
Now, rowing is an alternate vehicle, but you must have some concerns about people being able to swim.
Right. Well, U.S. Rowing's rules are if you can't pass the swim test, you have to wear a life jacket.
Okay. Does that make the rowing harder?
Not really. We have these PF personal floating devices that we put around them.
Okay.
We bring kids out just for some outreach or whatever, and everybody just wears a belt and they learn how to pull the string and
like the airline.
Exactly. And also we have coaches out in motorboats with all of the youth.
Okay.
And with all of our members until they are qualified to be out on their own, and the youth are never out on.
Yeah, I would think so.
No.
So tell us about this regatta, though, that your youth went out to this past weekend. Is that something that, again, is restricted just to the youths in terms of sport competition?
Right. So the way the regatta system works with rowing is
tough questions. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's really not. It's really not. We row by category, and so we row by age. If it's an open event, then it is modified for fair competition. However, that is,
like a handicap kind of thing.
Like a handicap.
Okay.
The kids row in two different categories. They either row as a school,
okay,
or they row as a club. And so the regatta will have, it might just be a scholastic regatta, so that means schools.
Okay.
If it could be open, so it could have schools and club, then they all compete together. And so we have a complicated, for the average person, way of figuring out who gets to rise to the top, who gets to compete in regionals and nationals and state competitions, and strict scholastic have only scholastic, and then it's scholastic and club can compete together when we're doing regional. So those types of competitions end up being usually the most competitive. Not always, but usually.
And while you're, the reason I'm pursuing that competitiveness, because we hear a lot about high schoolers getting scholarships or being able to go on because of football and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But rowing is one of those more silent activities. But I'm sure that there must be, at least on the eastern seaboard, some universities that offer scholarships for rowing.
Right. So rowing is percentage-wise one of the top sports for both men and women collegiate scholarships.
Really?
Last year, we sent 2 young men full rides. One to Lehigh LaSalle up in Philadelphia, and the other one went to FIT. Full rides.
Wow.
And for Title IX for women, there's about between a 35 and 40% acceptance rate to get some money. And with the boys, it's about a 15 to 20% acceptance rate to get some money. So if you want to balance that out, lacrosse, you get a 1% chance. Basketball, less than 1%. Football, less than 1%. And the reason for that is that there's lacrosse, football, and basketball sports in every single high school in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has rowing. So that's one of them.
Okay.
And the other one is Title IX.
So that's a huge announcement from my perspective.
Right.
So it's not only good for them,
Yeah, it's really good for 'em.
but really good for them.
Really good for
Keeps them really busy, keeps them physically active, keeps
Right.
them out of trouble.
Right.
And the scholarship activity is, that's phenomenal.
No, yes, it is. We've given every single year, since 2013, we have gotten money for at least one of our kids. When we first started, we only had like 15 kids. Not everybody wants to go on and be a college athlete either.
Right.
So we've been so fortunate, and sometimes we've had 4 or 5 kids go. And that's when we had 40 kids on our team or 30. And to get 5 kids getting money, and not all of them are seniors. So, you're looking at our percentage rate is much higher than that for the kids that actually want to do it. So they get informed.
It's a non-contact sport.
It's a non-contact
says the
sport.
mom in the group
right.
here.
Well, it's non-contact and it's also non-impact. So running impacts your joints. There's, that's an individual sport. You're not
right.
Track and field, that has a lot of stress on your joints, and this is not.
No, it sounds like the perfect sport for males or females.
So.
You think so too?
And another sidebar is I was with a bunch of my alumni up at Notre Dame. We had a ceremony up there, and every single one of them said if they weren't in sports, this is a Title IX thing that they did over with Notre Dame athletes, and they all said that their success in life they credited to their involvement in athletics. So I'm out there for any kind of athletics. It's good for kids.
Well, and it's good for all of us to be active. And so, again, you have mentioned that there are different cohorts. If you didn't have a cohort, for example, for veterans, whether it's an amputee or a PTSD, and 2 or 3 ex-military folks wanted to start something, could they contact you directly or go through the web page, or do you already have something?
No, if a group of people want to come and form their own group, that would be a discussion, and then we'd be creative about that. We are a place. We are a place for activity, and our activity is rowing. And, U.S. Rowing has given us lots of options. And, we'd love to meet you. We'd love to see what you can bring to the table. And if we can do it, we will.
That's wonderful news. And I really appreciate you coming. I should have had you on years ago, and I don't know why we haven't, but I'm so glad that you had the time today to tell us about this wonderful, wonderful resource that we have in the county and all of your team, because I know you have a ton of volunteers, and whether they sit on the board or they're out on the water. And so I thank all of them for their efforts to support this community initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki, for the opportunity to talk about it.
And thank you for staying with us till the very end. And come on back next week. My guest is going to be someone from the Indian River Community Hospital Taxing District. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, stay tuned next week. And thank you very much. Bye-bye now.